Thom Hartmann here with you. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which was created by Dodd-Frank and Elizabeth Warren, it was her child, basically. Her argument was, we make sure that when companies sell toasters, that they don't blow up in a consumer's kitchen and catch their house on fire. Right? The underwriters lab and all that kind of, there's certifications, and the government moderates and mediates some of this stuff. So let's make sure, if we're going to sell somebody a financial instrument, a pension, an investment, whatever it may be, that it's not going to, a mortgage, a student loan, that it's not going to blow up in their face, that they're not being conned or scammed. And so they created the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau to look for people in the banking industry who were stealing from us. And they found $13 billion worth of people in the banking industry stealing from us last year, took that money back from them and literally returned it to us, the consumers. Now, that does not go over well with the banksters, right? The banksters are quite upset about the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau and the fact that there is a government agency that can act on behalf of you and me, on behalf of consumers. Oh my God, we can't have that. The Republican Party has pledged its loyalty to the top 1% and the corporations that made them rich, period. Not the small businesses of America, not the medium-sized businesses of America, but to the billionaires and the very large corporations, including those corporations based in other countries and those oligarchs based in other countries. And this was, even, before Trump came along, to a large extent this was going on. But now Trump has turned it into official policy. And with regard to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, it's entirely Trump. Right? The CFPB was running really, really well under Obama and recovering billions of dollars on your behalf and my behalf. And now Trump puts Mick Mulvaney in charge of it, his OMB director, former, right-wing hack congressman, puts Mick Mulvaney in charge of it, and Mick Mulvaney is just trying to destroy the agency. So I get this email from Josh Nelson at Credo Action, and the website is credoaction.com. And it says, stand with Senator Warren. Stop a Trump official from trading lobbyist contributions for access. And they're talking about Mick Mulvaney. And so they've got this petition together over at Credo Action. And it goes to the Deputy General Counsel for General Law and Ethics, a woman by the name of Sonia White. And she's the one who has oversight over the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. And the request is, investigate Interim Director Mick Mulvaney's potential conflicts of interest and publicly detail what steps you have taken to ensure his stated practice of trading access for lobbyist contributions does not undermine the CFPB's core mission. And here's the letter I got, the email that I got. Trump's interim director of the CFPB, Mick Mulvaney, has requested a budget of $0 for the entire agency. You get this? He can't kill the agency. The law created it. He can't tell it to do insanely stupid things because the law says it's got to help consumers. So for next year's budget, which starts on October 1st, he says, well, just fund the agency at $0. We'll fire everybody. We'll disconnect the phones. There'll be nobody here. It'll still exist, right? In theory. But fund them at $0. And not only that, Mick Mulvaney has also joined forces with payday lenders, and he has fired every member of the CFPB's Consumer Advocate Advisory Panel. They had this panel of people who, oversaw what they were doing, who made sure that they were acting on behalf of consumers. He's fired every single one of them. The letter goes on to say Mulvaney is the same person who received hundreds of thousands of dollars in contributions from the banking and predatory lending industries, and then told a room full of bank lobbyists that when he was a congressman, he only held meetings with lobbyists who donated money to his campaigns. Elizabeth Warren does not think it's a coincidence that Mulvaney only took meetings with, only would visit with lobbyists who gave him money when he was a congressman, and now the industries that have given him money who don't like the CFPB, they've invested hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of dollars in Mick Mulvaney, and now Mick Mulvaney is going to protect their billion-dollar revenue stream. multi-billion-dollar revenue stream. This is why I keep saying, you know, the best investment you can make in America right now is to buy a Republican politician, because they will do what you want, they will put it into law. And the banksters own the Trump administration. I mean, you know, all these top Goldman Sachs officials that Trump brings into Treasury, and now he's got Mulvaney at OMB, and all these guys, you know, they're either banksters or they're the toadies of the banksters. In the case of Gary Cohn and Stephen Mnuchin, they're actual Goldman Sachs bankers. In fact, the most senior levels of Goldman Sachs banksters. In the case of Mick Mulvaney, they're just toadies for banksters, right? Been taking money from banksters his whole life. This is one small piece of this large and broad arc of outrageous conduct, which now has come down to Sophie's Choice. I tweeted out to Rob Reiner. I don't know if he saw it over the weekend, but you know, Rob's a good guy, and is very, very concerned about what's going on. And I tweeted out to him that if you know, and I also sent this an email saying the same thing essentially to a few other friends I have in Hollywood, saying if you know who owns the rights to Sophie's Choice, the movie, now would be a great time to re-release that movie. To see that movie in theatrical re-release, or even to have just a big splash, you know, roll it out again, maybe, you know, with a little opening, a minute or two opening with Meryl Streep or some of the other actors in Sophie's Choice. To get Americans to watch that movie, to have a sense of what it must be like to be a mother, knowing you're about to lose at least one of your children. I was so impacted by that movie. It took me a week to recover from having seen it. Louise and I saw it together. I still remember walking out of the theater. It was in Vermont. It was in the fall. It was cold. Maybe it was in the spring, whatever it was. It wasn't summer or winter yet. And I walked out of that theater with tears in my eyes. It was on downtown Main Street in Plymouth, New Hampshire, excuse me. It wasn't Montpelier. And just shocked. Absolutely shocked. And I don't know if it's still playing or where it's still playing. I should look that up. But that's what's going on right now. That is what we are inflicting on these mothers and children, and fathers and children, and their children. And this is just so wrong. Jason in Bryson City, North Carolina. Hey, Jason, thanks for calling. What's on your mind?
Hey, Tom. You know, you had a caller on earlier talking, you know, you were talking about the rise of Hitler in Germany during the 30s, but I think a really important point that we should add to this is how American and British bankers funded the whole thing. Well,
not the whole thing, but they played a role in it, certainly.
A considerable part.
Yeah, and Brown Brothers Harriman. I mean, you know, that was Prescott Bush's bank. He was funding Hitler right up to and after funding of foreign governments had been banned by FDR. FDR, you know, nearly threw him in prison, and he was the United States Senator at the time.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I don't know how many Russians would have been saved, or Jewish people would have been saved if Standard Oil may not have sold certain chemicals to them during the war to produce synthetic.
Or IBM, you know, IBM gave them the computer system that they used for the final solution.
Yeah.
To keep track of everybody.
And
we played a role in it.
We see the same thing happening in this country.
And the one thing, by the way, Jason, that all of those people who played that role in it, and Fritz Tyson in this book that I've been reading, you know, I Paid for Hitler, the one thing that all of them, the way that they rationalized their behavior was they said, we're making money. You know, this is the free market. I mean, you know, what you trying to tell me that the free market shouldn't exist, that I shouldn't be able to make money, and well, you know, here we are again.
The free market has no morals on its own. So
yeah, no, it's intrinsically sociopathic.
The only quest.
Yep, and so when you combine a sociopathic leader with a sociopathic marketplace, what do you get? Fascism.